So what do we call those people who don't even make the official lists? Are they completely forgotten? Are they living in the shadows? It's a sobering reality to think of the figures our government releases every month. The numbers repeated, analyzed on the media day in and day out, that they only scratch the surface when it comes to the real depths of this recession. Or earlier, I caught up with Michael Thornton, an unemployment at workplace issues writer at theexaminer.com and Huffington Post, and the creator of the blog Layoff List. I first asked him what the difference is in those reports that are out there. The U3, that's the official report that the government releases every month, but there's also one called the U6.
U3 is the standard BLS civilian labor force unemployment rate. That's the 9.8% that was released in December. But that doesn't include millions of both marginally attached workers, which there's 2.5 million of them, as well as 9 million underemployed. When you include the underemployed and the marginally attached, then you end up with the U6 number, which is currently at 17%.
But is there something else out there too? Because, you know, in reading your piece, you also mentioned a website called shadowstats.com, and they have an even higher number. You know, if we look at November, the unemployment rate that the government gave us was 9.8%. The U6 said it was 17%. This website says that it's 22.6%. So where is he getting those figures?
John Williams of Shadow Stats came up with an unemployment rate that included the long-term marginally attached. The BLS uses for their marginally attached workers the shorter-term marginally attached, which are people who haven't looked for work within a year, or have looked for work within a year. John Williams of Shadow Stats has them include people who have not looked for work in over a year, which were removed during the Clinton administration. So his unemployment rate includes those longer-term marginally attached workers.
So that includes those 99ers whom we know so much about these days. Why do you think it is, though, that when we hear the statistics every month, when they give us the report for what the unemployment rate is in the country, that they give us this U3, this BLS, rather than I don't know, the bigger picture of what's really going on?
I think it's easier for most people to digest a number that's close to 10 or under 10. It's, you know, 1 in 10 people are affected by joblessness, as opposed to looking at the overall problem as being not only joblessness, but also underemployment, which is people that want to work full-time but can't find full-time work, so they're forced to work part-time. And those jobs usually have less benefits, they pay less, they have less security, less perks, less retirement plan. So it's a much larger problem when you include the underemployed and the discouraged workers into the equation.
Yeah, the discouraged workers, perhaps the most disturbing part of it all, because then I guess hopelessness also comes into play here. But what do you think would happen? I mean, if the media really did give us these full reports, if they admitted that the unemployment rate is far above 10%, would panic break out?
It's hard to tell. You know, some people wouldn't care if it was 30%. I think if you're affected by it, it's a huge problem. If you're not, then it's not a big problem. You know, the problem seems to be that it would raise the level of concern in people, and that may be something the government and the news organizations are not willing to share with people.
Well, because maybe then they would hold their government more accountable, too, right? Maybe then finally it would really set in that the government needs to do something about job growth in this country. But here's the part that I never get, is because every single month when we hear about these statistics, the experts, the economists always say that the numbers are worse than what they had expected. If they really know these other figures that are out there, if they know the U6 rates and, you know, the even worse rates, then why are they always surprised by these numbers?
I think part of it is they're really detached from the real world and how it's currently working. A number of these economists, they work on standard recessionary business cycles. So they look at this and say, well, if this and this happens, then we're bound to get this kind of improvement. And unfortunately, when you're going through a recession, especially a jobless recession that we are going through now, it's not the type of recession that is textbook. So I think they're looking for textbook answers in a recession that isn't written for textbook yet.
Well, it definitely doesn't seem like it's written for textbook. And, what if we take other demographics into account? What if we talk about college students that are just graduating? Their unemployment rates are much higher. If we talk about black adult males, I've heard that, their unemployment rates could be over 40%.
That's absolutely correct. The black teenage unemployment rate was over 50% in January. Now it's around 40%. Hispanics is 13%. The unemployment rate for those over 55 is at historically high levels. So it affects a large demographic.
And it shows you, I guess, that there's a lot of different levels here. There's not only the people in Washington and the rich that aren't feeling the recession, but there are other demographics out there that are feeling it far worse than perhaps some of your other Americans. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Alana.